After the lengthy World Slavery Tour, the entire band was exhausted, and both Bruce and Adrian contemplated leaving the band. The entire band took a massive break, and there was a longer gap between albums. Finally, when Iron Maiden started to write songs for the next album, a lot of Bruce's ideas were rejected. He wanted the band to go in a direction of Led Zeppelin 4 with acoustic songs. With Bruce's ideas not getting into the album, Adrian Smith stepped up to the plate. He had 3 songs complete and ready to go with zero influence from Steve Harris, and 2 of them were singles for the album. One of them, Stranger in a Strange Land, and the other, the Iron Maiden classic Wasted Years. Steve ended up writing 4 very progressive longer songs, and Dave wrote his annual underrated track. Adrian began experimenting with guitar synthesizers, and they become an important and controversial addition to this album. The synthesizers launched them into the experimental era of Iron Maiden, and during the experimental era, they would delve into more progressive instrumentation. With the synths, the album in turn had a futuristic feel. Many fans consider the album a conceptual album due to many themes about time. The production had a major enhancement as well. The synths were melodic, the drums were vicious, the bass was louder, the guitars more cutthroat, and the vocals were the most powerful and inspiring they have ever been. The album had 2 interesting B-sides, one of them Reach Out and the other Sheriff of Huddersfield. They were both Urchin songs from Adrian's past band. One of them featured Adrian singing, and the other one, Sheriff of Huddersfield, was a rewrite of an Urchin song that was making fun of Rod Smallwood. They recorded the bass and drums in the Bahamas, but were completely dissatisfied with the guitar and vocal sounds, so they recorded those in the Netherlands separately. And the artwork for the album is also very noticeable because it is probably the most masterful artwork that Derek Riggs has ever created. There are many little Easter eggs referring to the band, such as 22 Acacia Avenue, Ace's High Bar, Ancient Mariner Seafood. When the album was released, they went on tour. This tour had a couple less dates. Nico's drum set would be on an inflatable Eddie's head when they played the final song. Also in the live performance, Adrian and Dave would play a rare guitar duet known as Walking on Glass. Bruce would also wear a jacket with lights and a beating heart on it that would fail all the time. Also something to note is that the manager Rod, even though Steve wanted him to, did not record a live album at any of the shows. The tour had about 150 shows, about 30 less than the last tour, and they even got to play at the Budokan Arena. This is by far one of the best Iron Maiden albums of all time. This is Somewhere in Time.
This album kind of feels like a fusion of their past 3 albums. We get amazing progression from Power Slave, incredible melodies from Peace of Mind, and non-stop heaviness from Number of the Beast, all fused into this one album. Now, during this time, metal was rampant, and there's so much diversity. There was a ton of glam metal and thrash metal dominating 2 sides of the spectrum. It feels like they fuse a little bit of speed metal and a little bit of glam metal. Some of that overproduced synthesizer type of sounds, but in a good way. It all actually forms an incredible album, and it all works together well. Now, a lot of people criticize the synthesizers on this album, but in my opinion, I think a lot of people just dismiss this album because of the synthesizers. They don't really give it a full chance. They're just like, oh, that's the synthesizer Iron Maiden album. They don't think or give it a chance much that this may be an incredibly progressive, melodic, fucking epic album. So it came out in 1986, many deemed to be the year of thrash metal, and it's an album that has stood the test of time. The artwork is really something to talk about. We have Eddie. He looks like an awesome cyborg with a laser gun, and I believe all the Eddies are actually a progression. Like, you can actually see someone with the ripped out head, and he replaces it with cybernetics and stuff. It looks really cool. And in the background are all these amazing Easter eggs and stuff. You see this cool futuristic city. And the great polish and production really helps give this cool futuristic vibe, and the synths definitely help push that to that level. The musicianship is absolutely fucking perfect on this album. The bass is louder than it ever was, and the playing is freaking perfect from Steve. There's some amazing bass fills that he does, and it's not all gallops. There's a lot of variations to his writing on this album. Nico, holy shit, he really does stand with Clive Burr's heavy drumming. Now we get to see him in somewhat Clive Burr's light, where they both have this great, heavy, noticeable sound that's louder than almost every other instrument, so we can get to hear Nico. Bruce, probably his best performance ever in my personal opinion. He doesn't necessarily do all highs, he does a lot of yelling, and it actually sounds really cool. Some could argue that he's a little yelling too much, but I still think it's his best performance without a doubt. And now something to talk about, the twin guitars. Both of them have their best solos of their entire career here. I want to say Dave's are just shredding like crazy. They're really memorable and really beautiful. And then Adrian has way more solos on this album. Somewhat like Peace of Mind, how Dave had more solos than Adrian. This time Adrian has more solos than Dave. His solos are just as technical as Dave Murray's in my opinion, maybe a tiny bit less, but they're way more memorable and way more badass. Some have also named this Adrian Smith's album because he has a lot of writing credits and zero Bruce Dickinson writing credits. And there's a lot of great heavy writing to it. And I do think Smith and Harris are probably the best writers of the band, and their collaborations together and just their individual songwriting is fucking stellar. Songwriting is very progressive, like I said, everything is so fucking melodic. You get these real diverse middle sections that have great melodies to them that make them really memorable, not forgettable like some parts on Power Slave. So the first track, Caught Somewhere in Time, somewhat the title track, I guess you could say. The song is about, I think, time travel. So Caught Somewhere in Time is a very epic song. We start with this fucking incredible intro bit. This might even be their best opening track, to be honest with you. It's not the most progressive song on the album, but it's a big song. And then we get to this real fast, upbeat song. Now, I will say my criticism is that it feels like the band aren't fully inspired on this song. My problem is Bruce Dickinson. He just doesn't deliver the vocals as wholeheartedly as you'd want him to. But I will say the chorus is very great. He does a very well job on that one. But just the verse is kind of boring. It feels weird though, because the song's a little drawn out. I guess you could say there's a ton of verses and I believe only one or two choruses. It's kind of a weird structured song. And the middle section is somewhat non-existent. There's no big progressive section. There's a cool quick build up to it, but it's mostly just two incredibly long solos from Adrian and Dave. I believe Dave first, then Adrian. They're both about a minute or two long, or minute and a half. They're so fucking amazing. So overall, Caught Somewhere in Time is a very great track, probably their best opener. Then we get on to Wasted Years, one of the singles. Adrian thought the song would be too poppy. This is the only song off the album not to feature any synthesizers, which is weird. And I do like the synthesizers a lot. They really add some layers to the music. I don't give a fuck if, oh, they sound pop. If it sounds pop, if you write the song to where it would sound like pop. The song is about wasting your time, you know, trying to get back the stuff that happened in the past. Dad was kind of happy with the band. They were looking back in the past, like time is going by, but you need to stay in the present. It's a really great concept. Now, here's kind of a problem I have with the song, and let's start with the intro. It's a very cool intro, and somewhat, once again, ripped off by a lot of people. Megadeth have been cited of ripping it off with Washington is Next. But this intro repeats a little too much, in my opinion. Now, the song is very progressive. The chorus and verse have a great riff that changes like every second. The chorus is very melodic. Everybody sounds great. Bruce, especially, his voice is incredible. Now we get into the middle. Once again, my problem, the intro is drawn out so much. It's really cool though, because I do like the part Steve Harris does over top of it. Maybe instead of the guitars doing layering, it's like the bass is doing layering on top of that. That's the beauty of having different writers, because then Adrian would do layers over Steve's writing, and then Steve could do layers over Adrian's writing. His bass riffs in it are just so fucking frantic and insane. They really complement Adrian's upcoming solo, which is another amazing solo. This solo feels very personal, very bluesy again, and incredibly technical. There's a lot of different time changes and layering. It may kind of sound just like a normal single, but there really is a lot of changes to it. Then we get to Sea of Madness, one of the more underrated songs of the album, but it's starting to get a lot of praise nowadays. Some would dismiss the song because it sounds very heavy at the beginning. I believe the song has to do with people and too many of them and how we aren't giving a shit about what we're doing. It's kind of a sea of madness. And it could be the end of the future, you know? So, another time type of theme. So the verse is very, very, very heavy and kind of a weird rhythm, to be honest with you. And the vocal melodies over top of it made me go like, that doesn't sound right at the beginning. But then when you fuse it with the melodic bridge and chorus, it really works in the song. It really portrays this frantic, frightening type of song. The bridge sounds very depressing and kind of dark. Makes you think of that whole future coming to an end type of vibe, too many people and stuff like that. And the chorus is very great. And then the middle section comes in after another verse and chorus. This one is incredible. We get this great frantic melodic build-up with Adrian doing this almost Dave Murray style solo, building up this incredible atmosphere. Then we get to the middle section, which is really cool. It's really melodic. There's a lot of layering and changes to each member. It forms this incredible harmony between the entire band. And what else could make it better than Bruce singing "The Sun Won't Shine on the Sea of Madness"? The song gets heavier and heavier, with Nico just blasting the shit out of his drums and Bruce yelling more and more. And then "On the Sea We Go," the song fucking explodes back into that verse. And another change is toward the end, there's almost like a ending type of chorus, like a different chorus, where Bruce is just singing madness, like over and over and over, like this long sustained note. That's why I like this album a lot more than some of their other works. It's not just quick high notes, it's real long sustained notes as opposed to a lot of vibrato. There's also a cool Adrian solo layering towards the end of it where Bruce is singing there. Amazing song, it's really grown on me. Sea of Madness, perfect song again. Now, Heaven Can Wait, I said this album kind of has somewhat three epics. Caught Somewhere in Time, not fully an epic, just kind of a drawn-out song. Heaven Can Wait, even though the technical special epic song is the last song, this song is way better, and in my opinion, one of Iron Maiden's absolute best songs. It has everything you could want. Everybody's at their peak, their best performance on this album, in my opinion. The melodies are great, the chorus is great, it's very frantic and fast, it has some incredible melodies, it's very catchy, it has great progression for the progressive rock fans, it has that cool melody to the middle of it, where everyone is singing together, this cool chants. It's really a song for everybody, and has no problems to it. The absolute best song on the album. I think this song is the question of immortality, because some of us would want to live forever, I guess, but then you realize the horror of that when you get older and older, but not really getting older. You're just alive for all these horrific events, and you just can't die. The verse is real frantic, the lyrics are perfect as well, but it doesn't sound forced. The middle section comes in and is fucking awesome. There's some frantic riffage and great time changes. Then we get some amazing solos between the two of them. The first one, Dave Murray, this real quick frantic solo. Then we get to this bridge section in the middle where Bruce is singing kind of a weird spoken word, somewhat type of thing. He's not really too much singing, he's more just yelling the notes. And then that goes into, with somewhat of the same riff, more melodic sounding though, goes into the middle vocal bridge. That is probably the best part of the entire song. I absolutely fucking love it, and I believe when they play it live they get celebrities to do it with them. It's really cool. And then there's this cool Adrian solo over top of it, these great lead melodies from him. Then he blasts into his solo, which, to be honest, I like better than Dave's solo in this song. Just like Dave's style, but fused with memorable soloing and great writing that he's freaking notorious for. The song takes a while to end though, because there's a lot of great progressions of getting heavier with the main riff. And then it's over and your mind is blown, because Heaven Can Wait is one of their best songs by far. Then we get to Loneliness, the Long Distance Runner. This and Deja Vu would probably be my pick for the most underrated songs off the album. This one is maybe even the most progressive. Loneliness, the Long Distance Runner starts to really show off their speed metal type of attitude on this album. It begins with a great intro, and I believe it's about a track runner Not really a great topic, but it somehow does very well with lyrics. I don't know what the fuck it is, but the lyrics sound incredible for this song. It really builds up this kind of sad atmosphere and frantic one as well, because it's like he's running all the time, and it's all about, you know, fucking running and going fast. The song begins with this really incredible intro that I just love, and it's real catchy and memorable as well. The song is just speed metal all the way through. It sounds like Bruce is like gasping for air. He's like, holy shit, gotta get this next section. Fuck, and the song keeps changing every other second. There's no consistent parts to it. Maybe the most progressive off the entire album. And the chorus is really great. Bruce is yelling as fierce as he ever does on this album. And the chorus is just kind of the title of the song, a long-ass title, might I add. But he sings it in such a melodic, sustained, fierce way that it really draws you in. The middle section is all over the place with soloing. First a Adrian solo, then a Dave one, complementing each other perfectly in this fast, frantic, amazing song. There's really amazing guitar harmonies between both of them, and great lead parts over top of it. The song has so many layers and so many progressions to it. It is truly an incredible song and very underrated. Then we get to probably my favorite song from the album, and one of my favorite songs from Iron Maiden in general, Stranger in a Strange Land, which is another Adrian Smith song. You can really tell because it's just so freaking badass. The main riff is so incredible. It starts out with like a really cool bass riff though that builds up this cool atmosphere, and the synths really provide these melodic layers to it. Yeah, I could be wrong, but I think it's based off of stories that Adrian's dad told him as a kid. They also will never play the song again live for some reason, for that reason I think, because his dad died and he didn't want to play it again. That's what I've heard though, I could be wrong. And Bruce's vocals just drive this song home for me. I love the way he sings this song. He sings it with so much passion, and oddly enough, the vocal bridge or pre-chorus or whatever, Bruce says the words Brave New World, a brave new world, and it's actually kind of cool because then that'll go on to be the title of one of their albums down the line, Brave New World, where they repeat Brave New World about 1,000 more times than they do on this song. Then we get to the middle section where it's really melodic and quiet, and the bass notes are going on top of the melodic guitar solo, which I'm guessing the solo, the first part is Adrian, and it sounds really melodic. It's a slow solo, which then goes into this heavy as hell part of the song in the middle section still, where Adrian blasts into arguably his best solo on the album, but I mean there's just so many of those. It's really a catchy solo, it has so much soul and power. And then we get this melodic skull-crushing solo from Adrian towards the end over top of the singing. The great whammy bar and blues notes to it. It's more of a solo fill, I guess. Not too long of a solo and just bleeds out. Incredible song. Then we get to Deja Vu, maybe the most underrated song in the album. It's another Dave Murray song. Now, right away I'm going to say my one criticism, the only criticism I'll give this song. There's no middle section solos to it. The only solo is the one at the very beginning, the slow melodic one, which of course the song's about having deja vus and thinking this has happened to you before, you've seen this situation before. Everybody has those. The song though surprisingly is very heavy, but it has incredible guitar harmonies and melodies going throughout it. Of course, because Dave, he just writes the most beautiful riffs and melodies. The verses are very catchy and I really like them. The chorus is a tiny bit underdeveloped though. It's just feel like I've been here before, feel like I've been here before, feel like I've been here before. But it is pretty heavy and cool, I gotta say. The freaking drums sound like they almost have a double bass to it. That's how frantic and crazy the fills are. Maybe it's just hitting the toms extra fast. The riffs are just so incredible on it. And then we get to the middle section, but it just has so much diversity and changes and melodies. And it has such a fucking catchy melody to it in the middle of it, with both lead guitars together, and it just gets stuck in my head all the time. Deja Vu, incredible song as well. Then we get to Alexander the Great. I'd say its weaknesses lie not necessarily in the full songwriting, like the song structure or anything like that, but the problems mostly lie in the lyrics. We have this cool intro where it's Alexander's father. Then we get a really cool intro solo from Adrian. I believe Dave is doing a melodic solo. I can't remember which is doing which one, but there's like two different almost solos at the beginning. It's really bizarre. The song just explodes in this heavy, catchy fucking riff. And the riffs and melodies are incredible. and the chorus is cool too, but the problem is the lyrics feel like a history report. It loses a lot of its storytelling and atmospheric edge when it does that, especially when every fucking line is just Alexander conquers that, Alexander takes that, he captured Persia, he took down the Scythians, he conquered Alexandria, or conquered their capital city, made it Alexandria. But when we get to the middle section, first of all, amazing cool build-up solo from Adrian, and really cool melodic harmonies between the bass and Dave Murray while Adrian's doing the solo, which they won't do the song live, and Steve claims it because Adrian can't play the solo, which is like the slowest, easiest solo ever. The middle section has great atmosphere of feeling like a big battle. It really feels cool. But it doesn't progress from that. It's the same movement throughout the entire middle. Now, there is cool solos from Adrian and Dave. They're probably the highlights of the part. Now we get back to the singing parts where it's a kind of frantic build-up part with the drums, and this part's really cool. And then the ending of the song, it does leave you on a good note. I do like the final vocal parts. The lyrics written out like that, where it just says he dies of fever in Babylon, is kind of a huge buzzkill. It literally just makes it sound like a history report at that time, because it's just he did this, and died there. But it's saved by the way Bruce delivers the final note, this powerful sustained note that really leaves you going, that was a good song. This one is just so fantastic. And these melodies, progression, heaviness, it has everything you could want and more. Just please give this another chance. Don't just dismiss it and be like, it's one of those okay albums.
I still like my Memory of the Beast and the Forbidden Power Sleep.